Hi world, it's 8:45 in the morning. It's the 10th of August 2016. So we're coming up in about 10 days time for the start of a 10 to 12 day really concentrated period of astrological action, which in my opinion is going to have some pretty manifest effects that are going to change the world big time in a kind of thing that we've not seen before. I just want to stress something. I don't think the Olympics are going to be affected. I don't think we're looking at something that's going to be labelled terrorism, and I don't think we're looking at anything nuclear. But there is something absolutely massive coming up that's a game changer, and it's going to happen towards the end of this month. I've got no idea what it is. So I'm going to start now a set of videos looking at the contributory factors here. But before I start, I've spoken to a number of American clients in the last few days. And there seems to be a consensus building regarding a particular theme or subject. So I'm going to stick my neck out now and say, astrologically speaking, with a 50-50 chance now that Donald Trump will not contest the American election. I realise how crazy that sounds. Okay, so how crazy that sounds. Right, so let's start this big thing by looking at some of the contributory factors. The first one, the biggest one, Neptune in Pisces. Neptune's on the negative side about illusion, deception, gullibility, addiction, escapism, avoidance, neuroses. It's where you kid yourself, it's where you can be lied to by others. It's fog, cloud, mist, treacle, quicksand. At the neutral level, Neptune is strong in the charts of people who work with words like art, music, dance, film and photography particularly. Neptune's common in the charts of people, strong in the charts of people who like to live by the sea, obviously, especially if it's with the sun or moon. It's common in the charts of people who have issues around asthma, glandular issues. On the positive level, Neptune deals with illumination, enlightenment, spirituality. It's about empathy, compassion, sensitivity, sensuality. It's the higher art forms. It's one's link with the divine, however one chooses to experience the divine as being. Neptune's orbit around the Sun is 168 years, almost exactly. So it is pretty much 14 years in each sign, almost precisely. Neptune is now about 1/3 of the way, 4.5 to 5 years into its journey through the sign of Pisces, which is the sign that it rules. Neptune was discovered in 1840, so it's had one complete cycle around the zodiac. It's difficult to say whether Neptune in Pisces is a good influence or not. Obviously, because Pisces rules the deep seas and Neptune is a planet, Poseidon, that rules the deep seas, there is an affinity there. But prior to Neptune in Pisces, we had 14 years of Neptune in Aquarius, where there was a lot of deception over the period of 1997-8 through to 2011-12. There was a lot of deception around the nature of humanity, community, the world and the world's resources. It was the oil wars, for example. Now with Neptune in Pisces, we're seeing environmental issues becoming much more mainstream. We're seeing a lot of wars or political wars around islands and the use of the sea. Neptune in Pisces is being a bit occluded or overshadowed at the moment by its ongoing square to Saturn, of which more later. But I think the jury's out on Neptune in Pisces. Yes, it's creating an environment in the world where everyone likes to think of themselves as being a lot more empathic, intuitive and sensitive. But it's also creating a world where we're turning our eyes away from the hardships of other people, and we're becoming more insular and less aware of what's really going on. It's almost as if Neptune in Pisces is creating an environment of self-delusion which we're all collectively buying into. I can forecast in 10 years' time, 8 years' time, when Neptune moves into Aries, that we'll look back on Neptune in Pisces with fondness. But it does seem with Neptune and Pisces that we need at this time to be really embracing a much more environmental attitude towards the world, or towards pooling of resources instead of isolating them, and of a much greater commonality approach to words like empathy, compassion and nurturing. I think Neptune and Pisces is going to bring some type of global awareness around how we are one species. But in order for that to happen, we're going to have to see a few changes made in the ways that we affect our consciousness. This is why I'm suggesting, and I have suggested a number of times in the past, that if we were to legalise all drugs, we would get rid of the 5% of the world's population that are addictive in nature quite quickly. We would also eliminate much of the world's crime overnight, and we'd probably put a few governments out of business as well. The drug problem is perhaps one of the single biggest issues affecting the whole world at the moment, and if we were to legalise drugs, we would get rid of all the crime, we would get rid of all the addicts, and we would inure generations to come against the stupidity of narcotic abuse. Anyway, that's just my personal opinion. I could say the same about alcohol and religion, both with strong Neptunian connections and Piscean connections also. But I think those two are much more ingrained into our culture, into our cultures. Neptune in Pisces, jury's out in my opinion, but I still retain hope for the future. Deal with Saturn in Sagittarius tomorrow. Catch you later, world. Bye.